Hi guys, so I've just done a salon redesign on Laura after she's been helping me move the business and everything. So I've done a quick video and I'm sat relaxing while she does my nails, so I thought I'd voice it over quickly. So I started off by filing off her previous set down to a very thin layer, prepped, primed, put on some new forms, and I'm using the Laura glitter from the Fairy collection. And also some of the Xanthe pigment. So I'm starting off by picking up my bead of cherry blossom from CJP, taking the liquid out of the back and placing on the tip and blending backwards. Then coming in with the tip of my brush and sculpting a nice crisp smile line there. Making sure I'm patting it down and creating that nice crisp ball, because I'm just going to have one smile line here. And then coming in with the second bead, not taking the liquid out of the back, starting at the cuticle and blending down. Then I'm coming in with my negligee from the cuticle, blending down, creating that apex now. So that gives a nice subtle blend under the colour pink. I'm going back to the pinky now, putting a thin layer of clear down just to create a base for that glitter, give me an idea of where I want that nail to go. Again, this is really thin, don't want to make any bulk from that. And then coming in with a bead of cherry blossom at the cuticle area and blending down. And then picking up a bead of clear acrylic, a very small one, then dabbing it into the glitter and then just spreading that around on that smile line. I want it fading into a crystal tip, so I'm not doing it too thick. And then I'm capping that all with a bead of crystal glass, starting at the cuticle area and blending down. And this is where I'm then creating the apex and thinking about the structure and the strength of that nail. Trying to do as much as I can with my brush, so that then at the end I'm just refining it with my file. Just checking, making sure I'm happy with the structure. Make sure there's no dips or bumps. And going back, checking that smile line, it's ready to file. So filing on that smile line, pushing against the acrylic rather than down onto the form or the natural nail. Popped a little bit of kitchen towel underneath so dust doesn't go in my monomer or anything. I'm brushing that away, and then I'm going to come in with crystal glass as the base and a little bit of carbon grey. I'm also using a little bit of crystal pixie today, but encapsulated. So I'm coming in with the clear and creating a very thin base. Again, it's really thin, don't want to make any bulk out of this, just want this as a tiny base. And then I'm putting a bit of carbon grey at the tip, blending up into the wings. And then using a bead of clear acrylic to pick up that crystal pixie and spread around the tip. Making sure to keep pressing down and flattening with the belly of my brush, because crystal pixie is something that's a little thicker, so a bit harder to encapsulate, so you need to make sure it's laying nice and flat. And then capping the entire tip in crystal glass. Again, making sure you're thinking about the structure and the shape of that nail. That first nail is ready to pinch, so popping on that pinching tool. And then going to the second nail. And on this now I'm just going to put a thin layer of crystal glass just to make a nice tip for me to work on, and then I'm going to do the entire nail in Cherry Blossom because this nail is going to be covered with Chameleon pigment once it's finished, so I just want a one colour base. Coming into that second bead, blending back, and then pulling forward. Because this is all going one colour, I'm making sure I'm building up the structure and the strength of the nail as I go. And this is where I'm going to spend loads of time making sure there's a really nice, beautiful, crisp tip, and then realise I've done it shorter than the rest of the nails and I have to then pull that acrylic forward. You can tell I'm quite tired. And then final finger we're going to also do with that fairy glitter. So starting with a crystal clear base. And then a bit of Cherry Blossom at the cuticle, blending down. And then coming in with that glitter. So across that smile line, bring it up and down. And making sure I clear off any excess glitter over some of those butterfly shapes so they really show through. And then covering the entire nail in crystal glass. And again, this is when I'm thinking about the strength and the structure of the nail and getting the correct shape. And also say please excuse the mess of my nails. As a lot of you know, I've been moving business recently and you can see a massive lump of acrylic on one of the nails where I cracked that yesterday, very low down, so please excuse the mess. As I speak they're being repaired and made to look beautiful again. Okay, and when it's all cured and set, taking off the forms, taking care to pull down away from the nail, not pulling up because that will really hurt your client. And then I'm just going to show you my filing technique on just the one finger. So, side wall, free edge, and then start at the cuticle area and work down the length of the nail. That's how I file every single one of my nails. Making sure to keep moving the nail. Keep having a look at it, stop, look at the nail, look at it from every angle to make sure you're getting a nice even nail. See, happy with that structure? Okay, so now they're all filed. I'm going to put on the Chameleon pigment first. So I'm using Accents Black On, which is a plain base, which is ideal for your pigments. It comes in black or white, and it's a base coat where it's tack free, so you can go straight on with your colour before you need to put your pigments on. So I'm curing that in an LED light for 60 seconds, bring it out, and then I'm using one of the Glitter Fairy silicone tools, pressing that in, getting a tiny bit of pigment up, and then rubbing that onto the nail. Relatively firm pressure, but make sure you don't scratch the nail. And then coming in with the unicorn pigment brush to get rid of the excess glitter, and then using my CJP LED top coat. And floating that top coat over. So make sure you've got a generous amount on the brush. You don't want to flood the sidewalls or cuticle area, but you do want to make sure there's a generous amount so you can float it over that pigment. Curing that in my LED light for 30 seconds. and then doing my second coat. And when I put the second coat on, I'm also going to top coat the other nails, and then I'm curing this for 60 seconds LED. And this is always my favourite bit of any set, is putting that top coat on. Okay, and when they're all top coated, I'll let them cool down. I'm going to do a 3D flower on the accent nail. So I'm getting a small bead of Black Magic acrylic from CJP and using my Crystal Nails mini 3D brush. Getting a small bead, taking the liquid out of the back of the bead and then placing on the nail. Now if you're new to 3D, do one petal at a time, but because I want to move a little quicker, I'm doing 2. But I'm also quite used to my product. So as it's slowly setting and going matte, I'm pushing it out into a horseshoe shape, and then I'm slowly adding the petal shape. So at a 45-degree angle, I'm just gently creating that shape and the movement in those petals. And while also doing petals, I add the odd leaf, again just to keep the surface moving on. So I'm not sat waiting for acrylic to dry, I've got a couple of beads on the go. And then shaping that leaf again using all my brush. You can get a cuticle tool in if you like to put the veins in the leaves. I do most of it with my brush. And just continuing the petals, making sure you overlap them as they come in closer to the centre of the flower. And use slightly smaller beads as you get closer to the centre of the flower too. And there's no set number, just use as many or as little as you need. So some flowers you'll have will just have 3 or 4 petals, others you can keep going and you might even have 10 in there. I'm just adding a few other details, so adding other leaves. And then I'm going to add a few other details using Swarovski crystals. This is from the new Glitter Fairy crystal wheel, which is mixed sizes, 10 of each size of crystal and crystal AB crystals, Swarovski. The AB ones look really pink in the black wheel, but they are definitely crystal AB, as I will show. Using a little wax crayon to place on a small wet bead of acrylic in the centre of the flower there. And then using my NSI Polybond, a very, very small amount, to affix those crystals just randomly around the flower. And I'm really loving the effect this crystal pixie gives, encapsulated. It's really unusual. I'm just finishing off with some of the really tiny crystals, so SS3. There we go. That is the finished set. So I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial. Any questions or comments, please just put them below, and any requests, put that below too. So thanks for tuning in, guys.